Hey YouTube land, Tycander Sarah coming back with more retro Ghostbusters figures from the good old folks of Kenner. So these are the vintage Ghostbusters, as evidenced by some of the packaging that I have up here. So without further ado, we'll have a quick look at what we're going to review, and then I might just do a couple of edits and have them reviewed individually. So for the stuff that I have actual, well, not full card backs, but boxes and cards for it, we have Ecto 3. We have one of the Haunted Human card backs. Now this is an original card back. I do believe the X-Cop may have been reissued. I know one or two have been reissued, but I'm not sure if X-Cop has been one of those. So you have X-Cop, which you can't see his name down here. He is part of the Haunted Humans line. And then we have one of the actual Ghostbusters, but these are the international cards, because I believe back in the 90s when these were issued, they were issued in like Europe, and then they were imported into Ireland from Europe, but they never updated the card backs. So they have the international, that's French, I believe it looks like. French and Italian, I think. I'm not too sure, but we'll have a look at that when we get around to it. And then for figures I don't have card backs for, we have another two of the Haunted Humans, which is these two. And then we have one of the Fright features figures, which is Janine. So bear with me a moment. I'm going to get a few things organized. We're going to have a look at the boxes that I have, and then we'll have a look at the figures themselves. Okay folks, let's have a look at the boxes. Now, unfortunately the box here for Ecto 3 is not in the best condition. This is the way it came to me. It looks like it's been resealed a few times. Even the Ecto 3 itself is not complete. Now, I will say, just before I go any further, just in case you hear me sniffling and snuffling and coughing, I'm trying to get over a cold at the moment, which is why I'm late uploading any videos. So on the box for Ecto 3, it has captures the galloping ghoul with giant paddles. What's interesting to note is, instead of using the original Ghostbusters, real Ghostbuster uniform characters, they updated the boxes as they went along. So for the early release stuff, you have them in their more traditional cartoon color scheme, basically. And then as the figure line expanded and as the sets went ahead, for example, I'm just going to bring back in the Wicked Wheelie box. You can even see there's actually a difference in the purple used for the boxes. This is the Fright features version of Peter, where I believe the two here are the Screaming Heroes version. I think that's the right ones. The Screaming Hero versions of Egon and Ray, driving, one's hanging on for dear life on the back. And it even do the same thing on the top. Store paddles upright position for driving. Ecto 3 will carry up to 4 hero figures at one time. Real Ghostbuster hero figures sold separately. Squeeze the exhaust pipes together to close paddles and capture the ghost. And then you have an image of all 4 Ghostbusters riding on this thing. Now, I will say the one that I have is missing some of the pegs. They're actually snapped off on one of the figures I got, so you can actually see the pegs on the feet. For, I think it's the Egon figure, and it's the original version Egon figure. It's not even this version, but I'll show that in a minute when I get around to the vehicle. So for the Haunted Humans, X-Cops TM Ghost, change from ordinary policeman to gruesome cop. So if you flip around the back, it showcases other figures. There is the Janine Melness with Tickler and Tease Ray. I'm assuming the Tickler is the ghost and Tease Ray is the capture device. Because The Ray Stance one says Jail Jaw, which is the name of the ghost. Sore Throat is the name of Egon's, and the Gruesome Twosome, which is Peter's, because it's kind of two ghosts connected together. So here on the back of the box, you can actually see the other ghosts. You can see Ex-Cop himself, Tombstone Tackle, Hard Hat Horror, Terror Trash, which I already did a review of, Granny Gross, which is one of the ones I'm going to review as well, and Mail Fraud, which is the other one that I'm going to review as well. And then you can see some of the vehicles, Ghost, the Gooper Ghost, the Snapping Ghost, the Popper Ghost, the Ectoplasm, which came with little mini ghosts in it. I remember actually having one of these. It was like a vibrant pink slime inside in the Ectoplasm. I'm not sure if it was different colors, because it looks like there's different colors of it. The Ecto 1, the Ecto 2, which I will do a review of. I have a box for it and will do a review of it. I want to get Ecto 3 out of the way. The Highway Haunter is the one I was trying to remember the name of, which is the Volkswagen Beetle style ghost, which turns into like a praying mantis looking thing. And then there's the Green Ghost, Gooper Ghost, with ectoplasm gooping thing. This is essentially Slimer before they renamed him as Slimer. He was just known as the Green Ghost. You have the Firehouse and the Pull Speed Ahead Ghost with a ripcord and sparks come out of his mouth. Then there's some instructions on how to use this guy. We'll get into that when we're getting... And then you can see there's a special offer Ghost Zapper film cartridge with a kind of clip and collect kind of thing. Kind of similar to the flag points for G.I. Joe. So you can get those. And then onto the last card I have, which is interesting. Sorry if I have to put it sideways because I don't think you can see the card art. But it is Ray Stance. And it's Avec le Capteur Pack et le Phantom Chopped Out. Now I don't know if that's the same. I know I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of it. But it is the capture packs. I know, action packs, I think they were called. Action features. So again, there is a showcase of all the Ghostbusters on the back of the card for this. What's interesting is it has some of the more modern style. Sorry, some of the other Ghostbusters. So you have the Slimed Heroes, or Les Heroes Engouleuse, which I'm assuming is Slimed Heroes, the Ecto Bomber, the Monsters, which is... did I review some of those? I can't remember if I reviewed those, because I have some of them. My favourite one is the Mummy one. I have the Mummy and I have the Dracula one. I might try and get the Zombie, Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, even though it just says Frankenstein, which is the incorrect wording for it, and Quasimodo. And then you have the Super Fright features figures, which I have one of, which is the Peter version. Actually, sorry, I have two of the Janine and Peter, but I don't have them complete with their accessories. So I might try and get the accessories before I review them. But there is the rest of the kind of action pack. I think they were called action feature pack or something along those lines. Ghostbusters lineup. Weird thing is, I actually had an Egon figure, and I don't know what happened to it. I got him loose. I never had him with his gear. The only one I ever had complete as a kid was Winston. I still have the parts for him, but I don't have the Winston figure. And then I have this one, which is Ray, complete with his backpack. So we'll have a look at him. Oh, sorry, complete with backpack and ghost. I do have the backpack and the ghost for the Winston one. I might try and track down the Winston again. Unfortunately, the clip on the backpack is broken on my one, so I might try and get that. Interesting enough, there is a Janine Melnitz in this line. And she is, I believe, the first time they used a Janine figure that didn't have an action feature, didn't have a gimmick going with it, and she was more based on the basic Ghostbuster figures, like the original 4 figures. And they did one for, what's his name? Tully. Actually, is his name on that back there? Lewis Tully. They actually did one for Rick Moranis' character as well. And if I can pick one of those up, I might do a quick review of those. So bear with me a moment. I'm going to get things set up for a quick review of the figures and vehicles and whatnot, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to start things off on the Ghostbusters side of things. Sorry, almost forgot one part of the Ecto 3 set. So we'll have a quick look at the figures first, and then we'll have a quick look at Ecto 3 and all its trappings. Now, mine isn't complete. There is a small, excuse me, there is a small flag post with a flag with a Ghostbusters logo that attaches to it that isn't on mine. So I'm just going to mention that. So we'll have a look at the Ray figure. So what Kenner did back in the day, did 3 versions of this figure. I believe there's 3. I think it's 3. Slimed Heroes, this one, and the regular release. Oh, sorry, no, 4. There's 4, because there was a glow-in-the-dark, really hard to get line as well. So what this figure is this is just the exact same basic Ray figure, just repainted with a new deco. Kind of a neon 90s style deco with 90s style kind of patterning on him. His hair is slightly changed. His skin tone has gotten a bit more pinkish, I suppose. He's not as pale and gaunt looking as the original. He still has these eyes or that weird beige color. His hair is slightly different tone, if you can see it. His logo has now moved from his shoulder to his front. And he has all this deco, but essentially it is the exact same figure. Now, the reason I turned this around is because you can see on the back of the figure, this one has a big post, this one has a small post. This isn't the original version of the Ray figure, but it is the reissue, and the posts on the reissues are smaller than the originals. So if you have any of the original backpacks, they won't fit on these guys. Just a heads up. But this guy comes with this weird ghost, who I believe is called, let me see if I can find his name again. Is it called Chopped Out? So the way they describe it is you can have him hanging on Ray like that as a kind of attack. He has a bit of a squishy thing. There's a little peg hole on the bottom of his foot, so if you have something with a peg on it, he should be able to fit onto it, in theory. So he should be able to fit onto the backpack. The idea with these guys is they have a gimmicky style backpack. So ideally it sits on his back like this. It looks like a giant containment unit, which is kind of interesting. And the other gimmick is that he rides on it. Now I don't want to push him too far down onto the pegs, because I fear they're going to snap off because due to the age of the figure. But the idea is he rides along. See if we can get this thing to work on screen. So he rides along, and in theory, if we can do it the right way, it grabs Ghost. It's a ghost grabbing backpack. So it's a fairly simple device. It's on these wheels at the bottom, and as the wheels move, you can see the hook on the front. He goes up and down to grab the Ghost. So it's fairly simple. You can do reverse as well if you want, or forward, and it just goes forward and back. All the figures in this line had a gimmick. Winston's one is a weird kind of saw blade mono wheel thing. So it goes over his back, comes down, has like a saw blade attachment, but then you can flip it all the way around, and he has like a thing for him to drive on. The one for the Janine figure, which I mentioned, it looks like a go-kart, but I think it becomes like a trap as well. They all have like a trap feature and a kind of a movement feature to the backpacks. So just move original style Ray out of the way. That brings us to Janine. So I believe this was the first time they had done a Janine figure. There is a couple of different versions of her. There is, as I said, this one from this line. There's this Screaming Heroes version. There's the Fright features, and there's an extreme Fright features version where she's in like a almost spacesuit. Now, I will say this one is not working as she should. It is broken. This arm, the idea behind it is when you move both arms, because both arms are on a bar that connects together, but that bar has snapped. The idea is that her head goes up, her hair piece goes up, her mouth opens, not sure if you see that there, and her eyes pop out of her head. Now, this is a common issue with them breaking, because it's only a simple bar that connects between, but it is interesting that it does kind of give her instead of having to move both arms at the same time, you can kind of move one at the other, but because of the issue, they're super floppy. It is repairable. I have seen a repair job done on this by fellow YouTube channel Toy Ploy. The main issue is popping the body apart because the body is glued. You just have to be careful in doing it there, and you can kind of re-glue it. She does come with her signature weapon, which is this, what did they call it? The I think they called it, if I find the name on the card back, the Tease Ray, I believe is the name of the weapon. And then the Tickler Ghost is her ghost that she comes with. The ironic thing is, this is the, believe it is the only ghost, maybe the, yeah, I think it is the only ghost that has this this hair piece that almost looks like a troll hair on it. And the idea is she entangles the hair with the weapon, and it holds onto the ghost. Again, the ghost is hollow on the underneath, as was a lot of the ghosts from that time period. They were kind of translucent. It's not as translucent as it probably was when it first came out, because over time that kind of fades off, or the plastic kind of changes color. But it is what it is. It is, you can see it's supposed to be kind of like a female ghost as well, with the big pouty lips and stuff. I think the idea back in those days was female Ghostbusters, or female figures would get female kind of accessory style things. It didn't really work all that well, but it is what it was from back in the day. So that brings us to the Ecto Tree. Now, the Ecto Tree is quite interesting because it's one of the few packed boxed vehicles that comes with a specific ghost. Ecto 1 comes with one. This comes with one. I'm not sure how many other vehicles come with one. I know Ecto 2 doesn't come with one. The Ecto 5000 I don't think comes with one either. I think these are kind of a few that come with it. So ideally these are supposed to stay up like this, but because of age they just flop down to the back. I'm not sure if there's a way of locking them up in an upright position. I suppose you could probably rest them against these lights. I would imagine there was some assembly required when you got this. These wheels look like they plugged on. It's basically a fairly flat frame with some accessories. So you have a gear stick for the Ghostbusters. Well, they can't really hold it, but to look like they're holding, these flip forward, and then what you do is you pull these exhausts and they do the capture thing. So you have like captures the ghost with the exhaust. Not the best gimmick. I'm not sure if these are even the right way around. I don't think they rotate. I think the way they show them on the vehicle is that way. I could be wrong. Let me see if I can see it. It does look like these are supposed to arch that way, not under. So I believe these are on the correct positioning. They basically look like giant fly swatters, which is kind of cool, with spikes on them. But and then they have like, they're supposedly supposed to be proton charged or something. There's like cabling going along them, so it stops the ghost from getting away. So where I think you could change the position of it, but there is a little piece here at the back where I believe, actually I'm not sure, is that in the right one? That could be not in the right one. Let me see if that goes there. No, I think that goes in there. There's a little bit here where that flagpole will go, and it kind of sticks out the back, as I do not have it. And then if I flip it around the back, just here on the back here is where the foot peg was that's broken off. So there's one here that's missing. There is foot pegs here on either side, and then for some reason there's two foot pegs here on the front. I'm not sure exactly why. Flip it around, you can see how that mechanism works. So when you pull back on these, this just pull this mechanism down and forward, and it goes into a clamp, basically. So it should fit any of the figures. So you can fit the original Ray onto this if you want. If you have that backpack version of Ray, since it is the same figure, you can fit him in there. And I believe you should be able to even fit Janine. Any of the figures that can get set into a seated position should be able to sit on this thing comfortably enough. So, even though I don't have the figures that they show on the cover of the box, any of the older figures were designed to actually be fitted with it, which is nice. It's not a thing where they just made you go out and buy the new figures. Well, they did want you to go out and buy new figures because they had them promoted on the front of the box, but you could use your old figures with it if you didn't have those, which was a nice nod. So I am going to move some things aside. I might leave the figures behind, but I might take Ecto 3 out of the way and do a review on the haunted humans. And here we have the 3 haunted humans that I want to review at the moment. I do have other Ghostbuster ghosts that I will dig out and review, but at the moment these are the 3 that I grabbed a hand, and I'll try and keep it short and sweet if I can on this. So we have Male Fraud, Granny Gross, and Ex-Cop. Out of the 3 figures there, these are the only 2 I had as a kid. These are not my childhood versions of them. I did have these as a kid, and I thought they were really cool. Unfortunately, over the course of time, they got thrown into bring and buy donations, or yard sale donations, as you would call them in the States, and they were lost to time. So I've managed to reacquire them. So Ex-Cop, I think, was the favorite of the 2 I had. He's pretty cool and gross at the same time. So you extend his legs, you have these bones come out. Extend his arms, you have more bones, and then there is a button here where his pocket is. Now, this is probably not the best version of him. He has like some discoloration on his head, and his back is missing. So actually, I'll do that again on screen. So you pop down that, and the whole front of his, he kind of has that Terminator. Was it the T-1000 or was it the Arnie one? I think it was the Arnie one, had that flip down thing where it showcased the endoskeleton inside. It has that kind of gimmick going to it. Again, that was actually done by Kenner back in the day too, so it's not that surprising that they reuse that sort of gimmick. But you have that screaming skull skeleton thing going on, which is quite a gruesome idea for a kid's figure, but it is a really cool looking figure nonetheless. Granny Gross, it has a similar vein going on. So the idea is you pop up her eyepiece there, and she has an extra eye, and you can pop that in and out. But the other gimmick is that you pop up her entire head. She has what looks like an elongated mouth, and you can pop that up and down for the eye gimmick, so her extra teeth kind of pop down, and her tongue, her gruesome tongue, kind of pops up. So it is cool. I always thought this was based on one of the characters in the cartoon. There was a cartoon episode where they had this kind of seemingly innocent granny ghost going around the place, and ended up being like a really big demonic entity. I kind of thought that was kind of based on this. And then this is Male Fraud. You can kind of see his gimmick going off there. Now, I don't know if mine's working the way it should do, because I feel it should. This whole chest section lifts up, and you see this gruesome eyeballs. His tie becomes some sort of nose, and you can actually pop the bottom of his feet up, and you can see his even more gruesome face. But I'm not sure if mine's working right. I think this should lock into place when it goes up, but it doesn't. On mine, it just slides back down, unless the idea is you hold this mailbag while activating the gimmick, and then have him munching and chasing after the Ghostbusters. Because you can see, even if you do that, it doesn't hold up. It kind of goes back to normal. Again, these are very old. In fact, is there a date stamp on this? This is 1988, so they are very old figures. But all in all, they are some cool figures. As I said, my favorite one of the 3 is this guy. I'm just going to bring in the trash can terror, since I have him right here next to me. So it's the other one of those haunted humans. And overall, they're really cool. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Again, these are not really available so much. There are reissues of the original Ghostbusters and the original 4 Ghostbusters in the Fright features line. I don't think they reissued Janine for some reason, which is a shame. They should have reissued Janine along with her Ghostbusting buddies, but they didn't for some reason. Maybe just due to the maybe likeness rights or something. They didn't have the rights for doing Janine again. Who knows? But overall, these retro figures are pretty cool. I'm just going to grab in the Ecto Tree while I have it. You can see there's stickers on this as well. They're pretty good. It's like keep up the smile for some reason on the Ecto Tree number plate. I don't know. There's not too many stickers for this. It's this number plate, these 2 on the back, and I think that's it. So all in all, these aren't too bad. I always enjoyed the action gimmick backpacks because they were the only ones I had. I never had the original. The only original figures I had from the old Kenner line was the Winston version of this, as in like the good guys, the Ghostbusters themselves. I had a Winston version of this. I had the Fright features Peter with the dual ghost, but I didn't get him complete, so I didn't have his weapon. I only had the ghost and him. And then the other one I had, which I did buy complete. I remember buying it, and I was disappointed with it at the time because it wasn't the original Egon. It was the Slimed Heroes Egon. So if I can get, I do have one, but it's not in the best condition. I do have Slimed Heroes Peter and Egon. Both are not complete, but they essentially, the idea was they reused the same bodies again. So it was the original Egon style figure, but it was in a neon green color, which is why I didn't like it that much, because it wasn't the traditional kind of dark blue overalls that he had in the cartoon show. And the idea is you'd spray water on him, kind of like the old G.I. Joe Eco Warriors type thing, and it would have slime damage that would appear on the figure. So it was a common action feature for that era, I suppose, to have like water affected action features, I suppose is the best way to say it. Or water, like they used to have like cars that you'd put in hot water on and they changed color change feature is probably the best way to describe it. But they did have that for the Ghostbusters. They kind of had all the same action figure tropes for Ghostbusters as they did for other toy lines. Like glow in the dark was another action figure trope, where when they started running out of ideas to do a glow in the dark line, action feature backpack line, the water activated line. The only thing they were missing from the Ghostbusters line back in the day was some sort of hologram type thing, which would have been interesting to do, like hologram heroes or some weird thing like that, where they had like a holographic ghost that they would chase, which kind of would be kind of cool. But other than that, they are what they are. So it is really cool to see these figures again. I hope you enjoyed this video review, and as always, please hit that like button. It helps support my channel and it helps my channel grow. And please click like, subscribe, and hopefully see you on the next video. Cheers, thanks for watching.